Version 1.5 brought us a new artifact set, Tenacity of the Millelith. Now, this set is clearly made for Zhongli, but he's not the only character who can make use of it. Today, I want to talk about a build for Xinyan that my friend Sychodelic suggested. I'll explain how it works, what stats to focus on, what weapons to use, and the best teammates for this new Xinyan build. Let's start with what Tenacity of the Millelith does. The 2-piece bonus gives 20% more HP. This is basically useless for Xinyan since nothing in her kit scales with HP, and she won't be on the field for too long. The 4-piece bonus says that when this character's elemental skill hits an enemy, your attack increases by 20% and shield strength increases by 30%. The effect lasts 3 seconds but can be triggered every half second, which refreshes the duration. The important thing is that the character wearing the Tenacity of the Millelith set does not need to be on the field. Xinyan creates a shield which pulses with pyro damage every 2 seconds. As long as those pulses keep hitting enemies, it'll give your active character that bonus and make the shield stronger. But there are some challenges. First of all, the pulse happens every 2 seconds, so if you don't hit any enemies with a pulse, you'll briefly lose the artifact's bonus. It has a short range, so you need to be in melee combat with the enemies to get the bonus. The second challenge is that the shield only lasts 12 seconds, but the cooldown is 18 seconds. So you'll have a 6-second gap without the shield. I'll mention some ways to overcome this later. Finally, only the level 3 shield pulses with pyro damage, and getting it requires hitting 3 enemies when you use Xinyan's skill. Luckily, that's reduced to 2 enemies with Xinyan's first ascension passive talent. You'll also get a level 3 shield whenever you use her elemental burst if you have Constellation 2 Xinyan. This is one of the ways to help you keep a shield up full time, but it also means if you're fighting a single enemy, only her C2 burst will give you the shield you need. Obviously, for this build to work, you need a 4-piece set of Tenacity of the Millelith. But what main stats and substats are we looking for? Xinyan's shield scales with her defense. Since we want this shield to last as long as possible, that's the main stat we're going to be looking for on the Sands, the Goblet, and the Circlet. And it's going to be our highest priority substat on the Flower and Plume. For substats, you have some options. If you have that second constellation, you'll want energy recharge so that you can get her shield back with the burst. The damage on the pyro pulses scales with attack, so that's a nice substat to get, but it's not the focus of the build. The pulses will sometimes cause elemental reactions, so elemental mastery will increase how much damage they do. Xinyan's second constellation also increases the crit rate for physical damage on the burst by 100%, so critical damage is nice to have. Our main focus with weapons is making sure that we have Xinyan's shield up as much as possible. Sacrificial Greatsword is the best for that. Not only does it give you a chance of just resetting the cooldown on her skill, but it also has the energy recharge substat to help you get your burst faster. If you don't have a Sacrificial Greatsword, Favonius Greatsword also has the energy recharge substat. White Blind has the defense substat to make the shield stronger. If you only have one of them, use that. If you have both, pick the one with the substats you need more. The last thing to figure out is who we're supporting with this build. It needs to be a melee character since the pulses on the shield have short range. It should be a pyro character or a character who wants pyro for reactions, since that's the damage that pulses do. The 20% bonus attack will benefit characters with a high base attack most of all. I use my Xinyan with Hu Tao. Hu Tao really needs a shield since she deals the most damage when she's under 50% health. Xinyan also acts as a battery for Hu Tao. Diluc and Xiangling can also use Xinyan as a battery. One of Xinyan's passive talents increases physical damage dealt by shielded characters, which is great if you're using Xiangling as a physical DPS. Xiao also benefits from a Xinyan shield since he can swirl off the pyro status that it applies to enemies. If you're pairing Xinyan with Xiao, don't worry about giving her elemental mastery. If you're using Tartaglia for melee, Xinyan can be a good support for him. The two of them will be setting off a lot of vaporize reactions. But keep in mind that if you're using Tartaglia as a ranged unit, the shield's pyro pulses won't activate the artifact bonus. Eula, Rosaria, Chongyun, and Kaya can all use Xinyan for shielding, the attack bonus, and melt reactions. Like Xiangling, Eula will benefit from the shield's physical damage buff. I don't use any of these characters, so let me know if you try this out. I wouldn't pair Xinyan with an Electro main, since Overload causes knockback, and we want to stay as close to enemies as possible. So that's my build for Xinyan using Tenacity of the Millelith. I haven't seen any other videos or guides talking about it, so I decided to put one together. If you have any feedback or suggestions on how to improve the build, please let me know in the comments below. Huge thank you to Sychodelic for suggesting this build and helping me flesh it out. I also want to thank all my Discord friends who provided feedback while I was working on it, as well as everyone who helped with this video.